So there's this trend on TikTok that shows people flexing that they were bullies in high school, and it is baffling. I'll just show you guys the video because I don't necessarily know how to explain it. Huh. I don't understand why you would want to tell the world that you were a bully in high school. Like, why? What exactly are you bragging about? The fact that these people are okay with showcasing the fact that they were bullies in high school just proves the fact that, number one, they probably peaked in high school, and I do not mean that as a compliment. And number two, they are still bullies. And what really grinds my gears is the fact that bullies get to pull this shit. Bullies can walk away from the situation and just make this into a cute TikTok trend, while the people who were actually bullied walk straight into therapy. The people they bullied do not get the privilege of walking away from this because it's so mentally and physically draining to be bullied, especially when you're younger, because, you know, societal pressure, the need to fit in, and like all that stuff just is an added bonus. There was a kid in my middle school who got bullied so hard that she had to transfer schools. Certain people also take their lives because they were bullied. And a lot of people did call these creators out, and they were like, hey, that's not really cool to brag about, you know? Like, what about the people that you actually bullied? And they replied,
this is not meant to be a flex like, oh, I'm such a bad person, I'm such a bully, I'm so cool for it. Nah, I absolutely hated the person I was at this time period.
Don't get me wrong, I think that is great. I think that is great that this person thinks that they moved on to bigger and better things, and they're, you know, trying to be a better person. But if you really thought that way, you would not have uploaded that video in the first place. And it's really interesting because I actually know a couple of reformed bullies, like they're now my friends. But back in the day, back in, you know, the whole middle school, high school days, they weren't so pleasant to be around. They were absolute bullies, and they have admitted that, and they are incredibly remorseful. And because they're so remorseful, whenever we talk about bullying or like something related to bullying comes up in our conversations, they are hands down the first people to go against it. They are the first people to stand up against bullies because they were a former bully. And these people actively seek out ways to be better, not only to other people, but to themselves as well, because they hold so much guilt and so much shame about what happened in their past. So it's kind of hard for me to think that these people are reformed, because if you are really reformed, would you be bragging about this on TikTok? I don't think so. I know some people are going to be like, oh, freedom of speech, they're entitled to say whatever they want. And like, yes, that is true. But that doesn't take away the consequences of their actions. And it's kind of ironic because if you take a look at every single person who has participated in this trend, you'll see a common denominator. And the common denominator is that they either want to be an emo person or they want to date an emo person. And as someone who was bullied for being into emo music and emo subculture, this infuriates me. And I know who these people are because they were my bullies in middle school. They might have a different look, they might have a different name, but I know who they are. Because for the longest time, I, and as well as, you know, multiple people who have been bullied, we couldn't get them out of our heads, because we would always have flashbacks to what they did to us, the names that they called us, everything. So what is bullying? Bullying is not the cartoonish, you know, the wedgie, the swirly, shoving into a locker. I mean, well, it could include that, but I feel like nowadays it's become a lot more sinister. My personal experience was a lot of shaming and belittling. So a lot of people belittled me for my music taste and for my fashion sense and my interests and like my personality, my character, everything like that. I remember my bully would call me names, and they would actually bring other people to do their dirty work, and they would just call me like a bitch or whatever. They would humiliate me in public, and there was also a lot of isolation. So there was this time in my life that I actually had a Mean Girls moment and ate lunch in the bathrooms. It's not great. Not great. And let's break down why people bully. The only reason that I could think of that bullies would bully other people is the fact that they are just generally miserable people. They are either insecure, they are just hateful, or they're overcompensating in something. Because let's think about it this way. Secure people don't find the need to bully other people because number one, they're very secure in who they are, so there's no need. And number two, they don't give a shit what other people do or don't. I think the only reason why a secure and healthy person would say something negative to somebody would be to call them out for being a shitty human being. Like if you're racist, if you're homophobic, like obviously people are gonna call you out on that, but no one secure and healthy is going to actively bully another person. If somebody is jealous or insecure, they are constantly on the lookout. They're trying to see how people are living, how people are coping, what they're doing, and they try to find any little hole, any little tiny detail they can use to project their insecurities onto other people by spreading hate and bullying other people. And they are most likely trying to compensate, like overcompensate, because they know intrinsically they know they're lacking something. And there are a lot of people who like to sympathize with bullies by saying, oh, you know, maybe they had a rough childhood, maybe their home situation isn't too great. I'm just gonna stop you right there. Let's say, for instance, a kid comes from a broken home and they are constantly verbally, physically, sexually, whatever it may be, harassed and assaulted at home. They're abused, right? No kid on this planet deserves that kind of treatment. I do agree with that 100%. But that same kid goes to school and does the exact same thing to a different kid. Does that make it okay? Absolutely not. We understand why they did it, but it doesn't justify their actions. It's two separate things. For example, my bully was bullied by their parents, so they were essentially abused, and I actually saw it when they were getting picked up from school. And I genuinely felt really, really sorry, even though they were the ones who were bullying me. But then again, as an adult, I look back and I'm like, wait a second, I was abused too. I have a shitload of childhood trauma, but I did not go around but bullying other kids. And I get that hurt people, but there are so many other hurting people who have not resorted to abusing and bullying other people. So I feel like it's kind of used as an excuse, in my opinion. Honestly, I look at my bully and I'm like, dude, you deserved better. Like, you deserved non-shitty parents. And I hope that she got therapy and I hope that she's like working on herself, but that still doesn't excuse her actions. If you've been bullied, like if I could say anything to my past self who was bullied or anybody who is or has been bullied, it would probably be this. First of all, I'm really sorry that you are getting bullied or you were bullied, because it is absolutely not your fault. It is absolutely not your fault. And you might intrinsically reflect and come to the conclusion that, oh, maybe I could have done this better or maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like, no, it is absolutely not your fault that you got bullied. This is more of a reflection of your bullies who are just living absolutely just miserable lives, and they find the need to cause harm to feel joy. Like, just think about that for a second. That's tragic. And while it is devastating that they are living such miserable lives, it's not your fault and it's not your responsibility to fix. And I get why you might be frustrated, because it is so absolutely fucking unfair that you have to deal with this while your bullies are just running around. But let me tell you, you are worth it. You are worth sticking up for. You are worth way more than those bullies will ever be. And bullying takes a lot out of you. Just being in the presence of hate, it's exhausting. So if you can reach out to somebody, maybe a friend or a family member, somebody that you can trust. I personally wouldn't reach out to like your school. I wouldn't reach out to your workplace, wherever the bullying is happening. I wouldn't reach out to like the people in charge, because personally, in my experience, it's done a lot more harm than good. But it could be different for you. If you think that it is getting out of hand, definitely do talk to them, because ultimately they are there to help you, even though a lot of schools and work places are fucked up. But yeah. Also, what I do recommend is write everything down, like the date, the time, what happened, who was involved, were there any witnesses, like all of it. Any single detail that you can remember, write it down. It will help immensely. And everything that your bullies are saying about you, bullshit. Doesn't matter. They don't know you as a person. How would they come to that conclusion? They are just projecting their insecurities onto you. And I know that it sucks that you have to go through this. It absolutely does. But I am living proof that you can get through it, and you will get through this, okay? Okay? Fuck bullies. Not literally, but fuck them. Honestly, if I could stand up against every single bully on this planet, I would. My heart would absolutely just break every single time. And like, I probably wouldn't be able to handle it because I'm very, very sensitive. But I still would. 100%. And I stand by the fact that nobody deserves to be bullied. No kid deserves to be bullied. No adult deserves to be bullied. No teenager deserves to be bullied. No animal, like, and I hope that we are all on the same page in this regard, because if you are going to say that people deserve to be bullied, it's just, you're probably a bully. Just saying. And once again, while we can understand why somebody is a bully and why they're generally miserable in their lives, that doesn't justify their actions. I hope that you are all staying bully-free and hate-free, because nowadays I feel like there's just so much hate, especially on the internet, and like the way that kids are bullying each other, like middle schoolers are so freaking scary. I thought my generation's middle schoolers were scary, but no, they've progressively gotten worse, and it's just, yeah, it's not great. So if you have any stories or any discussions that you would like to have regarding bullying, leave them in the comments below so we can get the ball rolling in terms of how we all hate bullying. I hope that's the only thing that we talk about, because bullying is awful. It's pure awful. It's evil. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.